don't understand why I am required to accompany you on this.
Mostly because you were rather clear in your desire to experiment on other students.
I am not a student anymore, I'm a graduate. The other in that sentence is incorrect.
That is what concerns you?
Do not trouble yourself, Zachariah. As long as Mr. Warlock is with us, there is no risk of him misbehaving.
I'm not misbehaving. This would hardly be the first time I've conducted such experiments.
Yes, we know. Those experiments were never sanctioned either.
Not to mention that Mr. Warlock would require quite the number of mages to replicate a pairing ritual. Even if you had some of the most powerful mages to have ever attended, you would not have the power to simulate the yearly pairing ritual. There is a reason that we only perform it on an annual basis. We lack unpaired students who might have wished to participate. And we can't simply offer you students ill-prepared to graduate.
Nonsense! I cannot believe the spell is so limited. The requirement is the input of raw power, not number. A pair of mages trained in the task could likely...
Zachariah reared her horse and turned it so that she might meet Hector Aglaire? Meet Hector Aglaire? Instead, she seemed startled for a moment, finding Hector already locked on her with the eyes of a hound with a blooded prey. Zachariah turned away sharply.
I don't care what you think, Mr. Warlock. You do not have permission to conduct your experiments, so for now you will stay by our side.
Ash was surprised to find that she seemed the only one to have registered the look between the two. Even Prude seemed to have her attention somewhere else. Maybe elsewhere, I don't know.
I must agree with my wife on this.
Zachariah smiled fondly at Lysania. The expression seemed alien on her face. Her own eyes fell on Hector, and she found herself suddenly facing down those same eyes. Blood became needles of ice in her vein. The frost in his glare melted into a warm grin. It had only been a heartbeat, but she still felt it. What had that been? That animosity? There was something wrong with that man.
So, what are we hoping to find?
I believe these two are of a mind that there's a paladin who has been training in secret in a nearby village.
That is more or less accurate.
I have another question for you, Heck.
What is it?
Why aren't you riding a horse?
Oh, Heck hates horses.
As long as he can keep up, Hector is welcome to do whatever he pleases.
You want to be a soldier, boy? You best learn to ride. An army cannot be expected to wait on your fancies.
Hector did not bother to fire a glare at her this time. Instead, he took a deep breath, lowered his gaze, and broke into a hard run. He outpaced the group in moments. Ash felt her jaw dropped, but with a quick to clench it shut, he was fast.
What is his deal with horses?
Oh, I don't know. He just mentioned it to me while the handlers were preparing Arcturus.
That boy has been afraid of horses since the day he arrived.
Horses like him about as much. There's something to be said of a man who cannot earn the trust of a horse.
Ash did not agree. I would stay with them, but I don't like none of you bitches. Ash flicked her reins. Her horse neatly shifted to a harsh gallop. She followed Hector as he continued his brisk pace towards the village, leaving the rest of their group far behind. How was a man on foot outpacing a horse? Zachariah was right. Something was off about him. The ride to the village was brief, and Hector was already busy speaking with the villagers.
I am sorry to hear about your loss. Thank you for your information.
Did you find something?
Oh, hello, Ash.
Well?
Maybe. Apparently an old man died the night of the ritual. His son was a mage. A full mage, so don't get your hopes up there. If there is anyone in this village who may know anything, it will be him.
What in the shadows is a tiny village like this doing with a mage?
Huh?
It doesn't seem odd to you that a village as small as this one would warrant a full mage? I mean, I would understand a hedge mage. Perhaps a student who failed their exams.
I believe the mage in question is merely visiting. The man who died was the father and had been ill for some time.
Oh.
Hector looked into the distance. They could barely make out the approach of Prudence and the heads.
Let's go. I'd like to look into this more before they get here.
Okay, but why?
Hector did not give an answer as he marched towards a cottage in the distance. With a grimace, Ash followed.
You really need to work on your conversational skills.
Huh?
I was referring to how you just ignored my question.
You asked a question? I'm sorry, I must have been lost in thought.
Apparently.
Hector gave no response.
What exactly is on your mind?
Worst case scenarios.
A chill swept down the length of her spine.
Perhaps keeping your thoughts to yourself is for the best then.
As they arrived at the cottage, Ash was surprised at its condition. The soil surrounding the mountain was exceptionally rich for the farmland, and the presence of the mountain itself provided the region a degree of stability most could not afford. She would not be surprised to find a fine cottage. This place was not fine, it was lavish.
Wow, a little more than I expected.
The son,
Hector paused.
or daughter, is inside. I forgot to inquire as to the identity of the mage.
He was still ignoring her.
As for the appearance, I suspect that their child sends home money. Most mages make a very comfortable stipend.
Or perhaps not. Hector rapped on the door. Ash heard something from within, and a moment later, the door opened.
Can I help you?
The man did not have the look of a mage, be they necromancer or paladin.
Yes, hello. I would like to ask you about the person your father saw the night he died.
Really? Are you serious?
Placing a hand on Hector's shoulder before he could speak, Ash pulled him back as she stepped forward.
Yes, I'm Ash, a necromancer. This is Hector, of the same profession.
Hector opened his mouth to speak once more, but Ash spoke first, forcing her words before his own.
Hector informed me you were a mage. May I ask of your speciality? We are hoping you might provide something in the way of information about the identity of who we saw.
They call me Marte. I'm no mage, though you wouldn't be the first to make that mistake. My older brother is, though if you're looking for him, he's already gone. My father was a bit delirious when he passed. But that figure in the dark, he was convinced it was death itself coming for him. I don't think death is the type to trip and stumble into the mud, though. I might not have been able to hear them, but the way they thrashed afterwards, you could tell their mouth was foul with curses. Just don't think that's the kind of demeanor death would have.
If I was deaf, that sound like me. I'll trip like I'm telling to take your soul, and I'll trip. That sound like me.
So you saw them?
Not much more than a cloaked traveler in the night.
What color was their cloak?
Gray, why does it matter?
Can you give me any more details?
I was kind of busy with my father's final throes. No.
Ash was a bit shocked with the ease in which the man spoke of both death and his past father. Only his most recent response contained any hint that the conversation may have bothered him.
In such case, I will depart. Thank you.
Let's talk to this nigga. Ash considered following Hector, but discarded the thought as she turned back to the man. There was something strange about him, and Ash wanted to know his story, particularly his comment about how he might be mistaken for a mage.
I'm sorry for the rudeness of my companion. He's socially crippled.
Not the first one I've met. Reminds me a lot of the kobolds. Nothing ruder to a kobold than an inefficient conversation.
Kobolds?
Ash genuinely had no idea what the man was talking about.
They live a long way off. Months of travel at least. But they're nothing compared to the Yetis of the Far Mountains, or the Harpies of the Sea Spires, even farther than that. Both are far easier to reach than the swamplands of the kobolds.
Ash was now convinced that the man was making jest of her.
Oh, but none compared to the oddities of the gnomes.
Mount cocked an eyebrow.
You've met gnomes?
Or perhaps he was just mad?
Never mind. So, your brother is a mage?
Yes, he's a paladin.
Dun dun dun. Niggas be on paladin shit. Which just remind me of something. Well, it's not your fault. Oh, man.
He was with my father, desperately trying to extend his life. Age is a wound beyond the healing of any paladin.
And you?
I travel, mostly.
Thanks, answer my fucking question. A light flashed across the man's eyes.
But I have a bit of magic of my own.
Nigga, show me. Retreating to the depths of the house, the man quickly returned, holding a bottle with a metal rod down the center of the strange liquid swirling within.
I present to you lightning in a bottle.
This boy needs to go sit the fuck down. I'm tired of him already.
Oh, very nice.
Let me answer the question in your head for you.
The man reached into the satchel at his side and withdrew a tiny bottle with a metal cap, wiring running through its center. He presented with the mannerism of a performer, waving both it and the bottle before her and then touching the cap to the metal rod. The room suddenly lit with brilliance that made her immediately question whether he had lied before about being a paladin.
Incredible! What type of magic is this?
Science.
No magic, just simple electricity. The light bottle is something I had crafted for me by a master glassblower. I developed a number of other uses for bottled lightning, but I find this to be the most impressive.
Incredible that this can be done with no magic.
You'd be amazed at the things you can do without magic. There was a time when man was without magic. The ruins are such a wonder that I question if we were not better off without it.
Please, don't tell me you're one of those who believes in the dawn of magic.
I do. I've seen a lot more of the world than most, and some of the things I've seen make me think that maybe we didn't always have magic.
Ash rolled this over in her mind.
Thank you, Malta. It was a pleasure to meet you, but I should be going.
The pleasure was all mine. Take care, Ash.
Bitch, get the fuck out of my face. I don't like you no more. He led her out the door and Ash made her way to find the heads and Prude.
You have no business dismissing me so easily.
Mr. Warlock, if you've found nothing, then we have no reason to search further. You will not remain here unsupervised.
I believe Zachariah is correct here. We do not want a repeat of some of your earlier incidents. Please, this is our first village. We have many more to investigate. What are the chances we would find our answers within the first place we look?